This is actually the first episode of the LOA of Asha podcast, and I am really excited to be bringing this forward, to be providing this information to you and to the world so that we all can continue to grow and expand and develop and have these conversations about the law of attraction, about reality creation, about mindset, about mental health, about these sorts of things. So, welcome. The episode today is inspired by a Zoom meeting I just got off of. And on this Zoom meeting, I was talking to a coach slash sales representative for a coaching program offered by an individual. I won't say the name of the person or the name of the company, but I was interested in their program and their coaching because it felt like it was very similar to what I'm doing to change my mindset around abundance and my mindset around business. And it felt like vibrationally I wasn't that far off. But he has figured out something that I am still figuring out. And I was like, oh, great. It would be excellent to connect with this person through this program, possibly even be able to have a call with them and connect with them one-on-one so that I can really feel into their vibration and feel what they're feeling. And so I got on a call with, turns out, an individual that's just like they're a salesperson or a coach that works for this person, this company. And the call was spent basically setting the framework for identifying my problem and then positioning themselves to be the solution to it. And I worked in sales quite extensively, and so I knew what this person was doing. I'm like, okay, he's taught them a sales process and he's trying to make it seem like a natural conversation. And I was like, okay, I don't just because a salesperson's using a sales process, I don't just shut them down or, because I'm like, I'll let him try his best, and I'll play along even though I know what he's doing. And then because even if someone's trying to sell me on something or trying to take me through a sales process, doesn't mean that what they're offering is not going to serve me. It could totally be what I'm looking for. So I try and set aside my sales hat and just play along like I don't know where he's leading me. And ultimately, he ended up describing back to me what my problem is, or what the current situation is that needs to be changed. And I was like, yep, I just said all that. I was like, yep, you understand exactly what I said, and I understand it too. And we both understand what the solution is, like what the solution is for me. What I feel like happened was I didn't feel like he presented the solution or the offer that this company has in a way that felt compelling to me. It just didn't excite me. And the more he talked, the more bored and uninterested I got. And I was wondering, what's happening here? And then as I began to I was looking, we were on a Zoom call and I was looking in his face, and then I kept wanting to look away from his face. And I closed my eyes for a second. I felt into him, and I felt that he wanted me, that he really, really wanted me to sign up. They really, really wanted me to do it. And like I felt that pull, like he was like wanting me to do it. And as a result, I sort of didn't want to even more. And it wasn't like a good feeling. Like he's excited for me to, to grow and get these results and of how it could help me. But it felt like if I didn't say yes, that he would be upset. Like it felt like there was something more there. Like he had some emotional stake in some stake in my decision. And he asked me before we move forward to talk about price, like what could they do, or what could he do, or how was I feeling about everything? And I told him, I was like, I'm not feeling particularly excited about this. It's not that I'm feeling negative about it, but I just don't feel like the energy is where it needs to be at this particular point. And I started thinking to myself, well, is it about the potential cost of this program? I don't even know if I know how much it cost. Because, we've been talking about my mindset and some of my beliefs around money. And I'm excuse me. So I asked myself, I was like, Asha, if this program was $5, or what if they decided to gift it to you, would you still do it? Would there be excitement there? And I was like, no. I could feel into that, and I was like, no, it doesn't have anything to do with the money. And that felt good. That internal realization of, okay, what I'm feeling here isn't because of any sort of lack mindset I have. It's just because the energy isn't in alignment yet. And I told him that. I was like, the energy is not in alignment yet. And he's like, well, what do I have to do? What do I have to say or show you? And I'm like, I don't know. And he was like, well, when do you think the energy would be in alignment? I'm like, it would be great if I knew that. I have no idea. And then he kept asking me. And so I was thinking that I was really actually hoping to talk to Quasi, or oops, I said the name. It would be great if I talked to the person that started this company, the main person. I was hoping to talk to them. The email said I could end up talking to them or a member of their team. So it must be possible to talk to them. And what I'm feeling and thinking is that this program has like an online training portion and an online community and what's the other part of it? Weekly coaching calls with the main person. And so I was like, and I thought that it would be great to talk to them. And so I told him, I was like, if there's anything that your company could do, is I want to talk to Quasi. I want to talk to this person. Because that's actually sort of who I thought I was going to be talking to anyway. And then he's like, oh, well, this person's on a vacation. They won't be back till next week. And I'm like, that we can't arrange that call. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's too bad, because I think it would really delight me. I would be really delighted to talk to this main person, since they sort of created all this. And I don't see why it wouldn't be possible for me to have a call with them once they're back from vacation. And I said, if that's something that's possible, I will be delighted. And I think it's entirely possible that if we had that call together, we felt that it was both in alignment, that I can move forward on this. And if not, then that's fine. And I said, if that call is not possible, then we can just end the conversation here. And so he said, what did he say next? What exactly did he say next? I think he said that he could follow up with Quasi and with this person and see if it was possible to arrange a call. And I was like, and I started smiling, and I was like, oh, that would be great. I am so excited about that. I'm delighted about that, if that were to happen. And then the call promptly ended. And, it's funny is that when he kept asking me what could he do to get me excited about this. The thing that kept coming up in my mind, and I didn't say it because, one, I want to be polite, but two, I I don't know, I thought he might, I don't know. I didn't feel like it wouldn't have necessarily added to any positive momentum. I'll just say that. I don't think it would have added to any positive momentum in the moment. It may be long term saying it would have been beneficial to him. Or maybe there'll be some point in the future where I'll be able to say this to him. Or maybe he already knows, or people are already telling him and, he's working on it. But he cared too much. He cared absolutely too much about me joining this program. I wanted to tell him, if you cared less whether I joined today, if you were so confident that you knew that it worked, that you weren't concerned whether I said yes or not, because you know that this program is successful and effective, and you are confident in your ability to sign clients. And so you don't care whether or not the clients sign up or not, because you know that someone will. You don't care whether I don't sign up today because you know that I'm going to come back once I come to my senses. Like, if he had had that energy, that is something that probably would have made me more excited, because I could feel that I could feel his confidence, the authority, the without a shadow of a doubt feeling, that sort of feeling. I wasn't feeling that. I was feeling the opposite of that from him. And it made me want to pull away. And that was such a learning experience for me. As it was happening, I was like, oh, even in this experience, I can learn something I can feel into what I don't want my clients to feel when I'm talking to them about what I can offer them. I can feel into by feeling into this, I was able to access what I do want my clients to feel and how I want to feel when I'm talking about what I have to offer, what my systems are, all that sort of jazz. And so I didn't tell him that. I didn't tell him, I need you to, if you would care less, I'd probably be more interested. So I didn't say that. But it's totally what I felt. And I feel like that is something that most salespeople are aware of. And the really good ones have mastered it. And I feel like, honestly, probably the majority of salespeople aren't particularly good at this, because they think, well, if I'm a salesperson, I need to sell. And I know I've got a little bit of an accent here, so you guys are just going to have to... I know I say sales sort of with an accent, but so I felt like he was selling me, and it didn't feel good. It didn't feel good at all. And also, what he was saying didn't really resonate with me. There wasn't really anything that he was saying that I haven't already heard or thought of or tried. And he wasn't really telling me anything that felt like it was really compelling and pulling something greater from me. And that's the key, right? Pulling something from me that I haven't already accessed or tapped into. And yes, I know that on my end that I could be doing some of what I am doing in different ways and with more consistency and what have you. But gosh, it was such an interesting call. And I really left that call feeling more confident than I did going into the call. Because it felt like he was asking me how to help him do his job. And that's not my job, to help you figure out how to be a better closer. How to be a better salesperson. That's not my responsibility to help him do that. And it felt like that's sort of what he was seeking from me. So yeah, energy is really important. energy is really important. And the work that you do and the decisions that you make and the directions that you go. And the way that you know you're going in the right direction is that the thought of doing it excites you. Oh my gosh, I just looked out the window and I'm looking at this giant spider web with a spider on it. That's not a coincidence. We're definitely weaving some things here. This is our first podcast as well, so I feel like it's just a representation of all the connections that we're going to make that are branching out from this. Wow, cool. But yeah, the energy is important. And when you feel good, when you are excited, when it just feels like the natural next step, that's when you know that it's the direction you need to go. That's when you know it's a decision you need to make. But whenever you feel like it's hard or you have to struggle or it's a grind or you're having to overcome something, then the energy isn't lined up to do that thing or go in that direction. So that's where I'm going to leave this one. We've got a little short podcast today, so I really want to thank you for tuning in. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you if you've been in a situation like this before with a salesperson, if you have recognized within yourself how that interaction makes you feel, recognize within yourself whether you knew a decision that you were going to make is a good decision or not. I can recount so many times with salespeople where I actually made a decision that I shouldn't have. And maybe it would have been a right decision, but I made it at the wrong time. Or maybe it was a totally wrong decision. But I'm thinking about numerous scenarios in the past before I even began studying and practicing the law of attraction where, okay, yeah, no, I shouldn't have done it at that time. That was not the right time. That was not the right decision. And so being able to recognize what it feels like to be in a place where it's time to make a decision and when it's not time, and feeling comfortable and confident in walking away and telling the person things don't feel right. Things don't feel right now. So this is not the time. And I can't tell you what's going to make it feel right, but I'm sure you're a good person. Now it's just not the time. Thank you. Or if there is something you feel like could bring you there, then asking for like, hey, I want to speak to this person. I want you to do this. I want you to show me this information. I want to speak to the owner or the manager or what have you. You are totally within your worth and your right and your authority to ask for exactly what you want. And essentially, I basically gave him an ultimatum. You do this or we can just end it here. And this is what I want. This is what I'm feeling for me. So I would love to hear your experiences, your stories, and I'll come back and share the most resonant one because I want this to continue to be a conversation, a dialogue where we are sharing and growing and learning from each other because we are all connected. We are all going through this experience of life together and we can't do this alone. So it's going to be of our benefit to build a community, to foster connection, and continue our growth in this fashion. Next, if you are not already following this podcast or subscribed to this podcast, please do so that you are notified when there are new episodes. If you haven't liked this podcast yet, go ahead and like this podcast. This ensures that other people that are interested in the same topics and the same discussions can find it too, and then we all can begin to connect with each other and grow. If you haven't rated this podcast, please go ahead and give this podcast a rating. This will allow us to set a standard for how, standard isn't the right word. This will allow us me to understand what you like about this podcast and how I can make this podcast better for you. And this also allows us to begin to show up in rankings, because we'll have a ranking, show up in rankings, and the higher that we get, the more people that we'll be able to draw in, and honestly, the better this podcast would get, because the more energy and attention and focus that we have on this, the greater information and energy and insight is going to be called for through all of us, through our participation in this. And then lastly, depending on the platform that you're on, please go ahead and leave a comment and share your experience. Share your experience, share your thoughts, share your situations with me. Whether you want to comment or send me a personal message or send an email. My email is inquiries@ashaoya.com. Asha Oya is spelled ASHAOYA.com. I'll spell that phonetically. Alpha, Sierra, Hotel, Alpha, Oscar, Yankee, Alpha.com. Military style. All right. Thank you so much for tuning into this first podcast. I really am looking forward to creating more of these for you guys, and even having some guests on at some points to talk about some really interesting things. So I wish you a wonderful, blessed day. Keep on creating, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, loves.